So as you all probably know, considering it's literally my channel trailer, last year around April I began an absurd conspiracy about aliens on April 2nd. Of course, after that day passed and nothing happened, things calmed down greatly. But over time there were a couple new developments. But just recently, April 8th has become the target for a way bigger and more legit conspiracy that others have created. Here's a timestamp to skip to that if you aren't interested in my nonsense. First minute thing is on June 3rd, in the exact same place I found the sewing needle that I found during the UFO sighting, I found a small hair accessory looking thing. It's nowhere near as weird as the last one, probably just something my neighbor dropped. I had a dream where I was preparing to storm the area of abandoned stores from the original alien dream, because in this dream I had just woken up from that dream. And presumably there was a secret base somewhere there, even though there was no base in the original dream per se. Overlord was behind that area, and there were a couple patrolling aliens, but not really a base. All I did was grab a drink and enter the car, and then the dream ended. The visual of the base was also something reminiscent of a different dream I had that I don't exactly remember. Tubby Fox made a newsletter for Undertale's 8th anniversary, and one of the gifts contained what appears to be Papyrus staring intensely at a caterpillar for no reason. So far there have been no caterpillars in either Undertale or Deltarune from what I can remember. If you remember back to the first video, I mentioned a dream that was supposed to be about the truth about deaths, and the whole conflict was she was just afraid of caterpillars. I previously thought that this was like a cover-up for whatever secret she was hiding, but it seems this caterpillar might have significance after all. Some have assumed this is a reference to Rule's card and his affinity for worms, but to me I've always seen the worms he mentions to be earthworms, while this one seems to be an inchworm based on color and shape. The date April 2nd has come up in two more creepy places. It's on the day that a League of Legends champion's brother killed his parents, which makes the second unusual murder that happened on April 2nd, and on Lamondo.com, a Japanese screamer website. According to a Reddit post I found, the story of Lamondo.com is of a carnival builder who goes insane with something to do with demons probably. His death is on April 4th, but I didn't ever find the significance of April 2nd. Around October, I had another dream involving the April 2nd aliens. In this dream, 4 tiny blue alien salamander creatures conveniently land in some kind of animal care place. I'm completely aware that these came from the same aliens, and me and my family do the best to keep them alive. I don't remember if being submerged in water is what keeps them alive or kills them, but either way, the water is a deciding factor on life and death. One of them escapes, somehow with the container, and a bunch of unimportant things happen. For some reason, I have a TV as long as a room and live in a skyscraper. We recover the missing lizard, and it's gone pale white with red splotches, presumably being from blood minutes away from escaping, from being exposed to whatever kills it. It does live in the end somehow. And then, near completely unrelated, I somehow get control of the Hat in Time IP and release an update with a new boss that is Snatcher, but he looks more freaky and human-looking. He actually looks closer to the main character from my Alone series, which you should totally watch, by the way, but considering it was in a Hat in Time, it's definitely supposed to be Snatcher and not him. It took place in a weird desert wasteland and had the Overlord diamond head in the sky. There was also a giant thing that the dream calls a alien corpse and some other large object in the distance. Some generic idiot YouTube Shorts channel covers the Easter eggs and gives misinformation so bad on the meaning that I fact-check it in the comments with some really cryptic all-caps comment that I ironically don't remember what I said. Probably something about it being a serious warning IRL, and I think it had a date attached to it that wasn't April 2nd. The blue lizards in this dream share a notable similarity to a set of original characters I created for which makes it more apparent that this dream doesn't really mean anything. There was one unfortunate thing that happened on April 2nd this year, but it's a lot more serious and personal, so I'm not going to give too many details. Basically, I was awake on April Fool's past 12, so it was technically April 2nd. I got a health scare from someone I know, but luckily nothing bad happened. There was one UFO sighting posted on April 2nd of a diamond in the sky, but the video is in Russian, and even after using Google Translate to ask details, they didn't tell me if the sighting was actually taken on April 2nd, or was just posted on April 2nd. And of course, if it was actually taken on April 2nd, then it'd have significance. If it was just posted, it could be anything. The entire diamond also appears to be emitting light, but the diamond from my dream was noted to be so pitch black it could be invisible, other than the small blue lights. Now on to the April 8th stuff, but not serious stuff just yet. As you probably know, April 8th is the day that the Nintendo 3DS and Wii U Online is shutting down, and the only game that people actually care about in that group is Super Mario Maker. This is significant because Mario Maker is the first time that I ever appeared on YouTube with a video from Lynx 4, and was originally gotten on my birthday in 2016 in a particular notable fashion, with it being hidden until we got to a buffet where I coincidentally got a thematically related fortune cookie that read, "You will soon meet an old friend." And Mario could be considered an old friend since I hadn't played Mario games in a while at this point. I was still a very big fan of Mario, only to turn around to have the game revealed. I also saw that the official Chip Flake plush is going away on April 8th, and there was one other thing that I forgot, but none of that is important. Now to the important stuff. On April 8th, there's going to be a total solar eclipse, which has been the source for a huge Christian conspiracy. To understand why, look no further than Genesis 1:14. And God said, "Let there be lights in the dome of the sky to separate the day and the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years." Literally, one of the first words in the Bible says that the sun and moon will be used as signs for something, so there's nothing weird about making conspiracies about eclipses. A lot of estimations for when Jesus rose from the dead are around April, with April 8th being considered by many. The path of the 2024 eclipse will pass over 6 cities named Nineveh, named after a city that God sent Jonah to help. If you overlap the path of this year's eclipse with the 2017 eclipse, you get an X. If you overlap that with the 2023 eclipse, you'll get the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. April 8th is exactly 6 years, 6 months, 6 weeks, and 6 days since the 2017 eclipse. However, I do have criticism to give here, because while 3 6s are important and tied to Satan, 4 6s not so much, which takes away a bit from the connection. However, 4 6s are the stats of WD. The infamous Devil Comet will also be supposedly visible on April 8th, but also before and after it. Now, I hate to bring my own conspiracy back into this, but it was heavily implied in the dream that this arsonist alien cultist character did a deal with the devil for immortality. So even in my own, there is a connection between space anomalies and Satan. NASA apparently is going to be trying to create tiny black holes, and some other space companies will be doing some shenanigans too, but that's to be expected. There's a bunch of other stuff too that I don't remember, haven't seen, or just I'm not exactly confident on understanding it. So it's clear God is giving some kind of sign, but what is it a sign for? The most common theory is that the world is going to end. This is not the case. The Bible says God will strike like a thief in the night. Stop looking for signs for the rapture that goes against his plan. But that doesn't mean nothing fatal could happen. For all we know, God will smite everything in this path, but that's far from the end of the entire world. Earthquakes have been a common theory. The way I first heard about all this was through my grandma, and one of the things she said is that the military will be patrolling through the streets. Through all my research, I could not find anything on this. If anybody knows anything about this, please inform me. Some have even said Turkey is going to war. There are endless things that could happen. But for all we know, nothing will happen. It's just a reminder from God that he's still there. Of course, all that being said, there's nothing wrong with listening to conspiracies and taking precautions against possible dangers, especially when they're easy to avoid. That's why even in the absurdity and stupidity of the April 2nd conspiracy, I still warned people about it. But you should always remain a little bit skeptical, and I wouldn't recommend letting yourself go completely insane like me. That's all there is to say. We'll see what happens on the day. I don't know. I feel like there was something else I was supposed to say, but I don't know. So this video is over.